All righty. Chase Stories Chats with my friend Diego DJ Rios. Diego,
Hello.
thank you for joining me today on this fine, what day is it? Friday night.
Mhm. Friday night.
Yeah, Diego.
Could be doing better things with my time.
Oh,
No, I couldn't. Definitely not. This is the best thing I could do with my time. Thank you, Mars, for having me on your call.
yeah, thanks, man. I really appreciate it. These calls have been super fun for me, and it's been a great chance to catch up with a lot of my friends. And you being one of my best friends, I thought, it's only appropriate that you come join me as well for the smack talk, the roast of Diego Julian Rios. Little did he know that this is all a ploy.
I have entered my roast.
Eric's gonna join. We're gonna have a bunch of people just joining out of nowhere. If you all can tell, Diego is one of my best friends. Diego and I know each other from St. Mary's College. Go Gales.
Go Gales.
Diego is a year under me, and the way we met each other was through soccer. We were both on the club soccer team. Diego would not pass the ball, so I had to take him out, and that's how we became good friends.
I don't remember that, but okay.
Not actually, but Diego is a Colombian compatriot. We are brothers in that sense. Diego is a big fan of Colombia. His coffee, his soccer team, Deportivo Cali.
Yes.
No, you're not Deportivo Cali.
No, Millonarios.
In case anybody watches Colombian soccer. But yeah, Diego, welcome. Thank you for coming. For the
Thank you, Mars.
that don't know you, would you share, please, a little bit about yourself, where you're from? I know you're not from the United States.
Not.
You're born in the U.S. So could you share a little bit about you, your fam, and what you do now as well?
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you, Mars, for having me on. It's been great to see how Chase Stories has grown and to be part of it from the beginning. As Mars said, my name is Diego Rios. I was actually born in Bogota, Colombia. I moved here when I was 8 with my family. We originally came on an international cultural exchange program because my mom's a teacher, and it was supposed to be 3 years. After those 3 years, my parents realized this was a great opportunity for us and for my brother and I to grow up and to have these doors open for us just by living here. So we applied for visa after visa, which I can talk about later on. That's been a big impact. That's had a big impact on my life. And recently, actually, less than a year ago, we became citizens of the United States. So it's been a very long process. Thank you. 17 years later, about 18. But we made it, and we're here. And I met Mars at St. Mary's College of California. I grew up in San Jose, California, and then went off to college, met Mars and Eric, who became the Flotizas, which maybe we'll talk about later. And then ever since, I've been actually doing a bunch of different projects. What I'm currently doing now is I manage our family business. We distribute Latin American foods to all of the United States, and that's been especially interesting situation during this coronavirus pandemic. So that's been nice. Other than that, I have many other projects I dedicate my time to, and that depend on my skills and abilities.
Yeah, so, man of many skills. It's like the James Bond, the Colombian James Bond.
Colombian James Bond, James Bond.
James Bond. Diego, what's the name of the store as well? Because if you want that manzanita postobon or that jugo de lulo, if you know about that, you got to go.
Let's say you are an Argentinian living in Minnesota, you are a Colombian living in South Carolina, and you would like some food from your home, you can go online to latinfoodsmarket.com and order it right there. It'll arrive to your house within the week.
Mm-hmm. So if you need that fix, you know where to go now.
You know where to go.
You know where to go. Diego, could you talk a little bit about being an immigrant and growing up in the U.S.? Did you have trouble, especially with English? Were you able to catch on to English quickly? I know for some people it's really tough and it takes a while, and there's a lot of difficulty with that in school.
Yeah, English is a very tough language. If I
Yeah.
spell out R-E-A-D, what does that spell?
Read.
Or read, right? So it's all
Yeah.
about context, and it's very difficult. So growing up was tough. At the same time, I think I had a little bit of advantage because in Colombia, I went to a school called Abraham Lincoln. And for those of you who did not understand, it was called Abraham Lincoln School. So I grew up in a bilingual school, which gave me the foundation to then come here as an 8-year-old, second grade, to really develop my English, but maintain my Spanish, which is something I'm very proud of, and my family is very proud of, not just being bilingual, but bicultural.
Yeah.
My mom is a teacher, and that's the reason we're here. And whenever we were growing up, my brother and I, we would want to go out and play soccer and on the weekends. And she said, you cannot go outside and play soccer until you write me a paragraph in Spanish. And at home, it was only speaking Spanish, and they would speak Spanish. So they maintain that foundation, which is, what we thrive off now. And I do a lot of interpreting and translating at different schools and medical appointments. And that's thanks to that. I wouldn't be able to have those opportunities and be able to help those people if it wasn't thanks to my mom and my parents helping my brother and I, encouraging us to be bicultural.
Totally. And I have my views on being bilingual. How do you feel about being bilingual?
Yeah. I also give a lot of talks, public speeches, and I specifically like talking to Hispanic youth because a lot of the times we think that being bilingual or bicultural or having a different identity is a setback or is not a good thing.
Mhm.
But I like to reframe that perspective into it's an opportunity, right? Instead of it being a challenge, it's an opportunity for us to then have more opportunities or a better pay for a job because you speak a second language, to understand the culture that we're traveling to and we're living and we're experiencing at the same time as the one we're coming from when we go and travel the world, to be able to interpret to different people that don't necessarily understand what someone else is saying, but being able to get the context because I understand the culture and be able to express that to them. I think it's been a blessing. And it's not too late for anyone to start and to be not just bilingual but bicultural. It's not something that you have to be born with or you have to be born in a different country or something like that. I think you can develop that as life progresses.
Oh, totally. And I agree with everything you just said. And it's been such a blessing for me too. And I feel like it took me until getting into college to really, really appreciate it, and going into the Dominican Republic, which we can talk about in a sec.
Definitely.
But I just know me in high school, I went to a predominantly white school, and during the time I felt like in order to fit in, I didn't really speak as much Spanish. I didn't really show up my culture. I wanted to blend in and fit in because like those years are very, you want to fit in, you want to be a part of the group. And at times, because there weren't as many Latinos that I could connect to in that sense. I felt like I lost it in a way.
Right.
Going to St. Mary's and meeting a more diverse group, my more diverse school body as well. That I really feel that I started to really connect with it as well. Ese pelito.
Sorry, whoa, my hair. I just looked over at my screen and I had this black streak coming from my head. I apologize. I haven't had a haircut in 4 months. So my hair is going a little crazy. It has a mind of its own.
Oh,
thanks to the quarantine. I apologize.
No, yeah, I've just seen so many benefits. Like you said, I think the biggest thing for me has been being able to connect with other people and the opportunities that it's created because I can speak another language. And, that language barrier can be a real thing. Although you can connect with people even when not speaking the language, being able to actually speak in another person's language makes the interactions a lot more fulfilling.
Yeah, it just immediately breaks the ice in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't need to be from the same place, but if you speak the same language, they'll immediately just get you in.
Yeah, and you were talking about kind of like acceptance and fitting in. And when I moved here, I came from a community where 90% of the people around me looked like me. They spoke just like me. They were in the same socioeconomic status as me. They had a very similar skin color than me. So coming here to a place, a
Mhm.
country that is such a melting pot, and that you look around and everyone is so different.
Yeah.
As a young kid, I remember and imagine it was a shock, and it was a struggle to accept everyone, but also to feel accepted and to fit in.
Mhm.
So at the same time, I think that my personality and my just wanting to get along with everyone kind of broke that barrier early on. But I know that was the initial reaction.
Mhm. Oh, yeah, and you're definitely very outgoing. You were my weekend of welcome leader. I don't know if you don't remember me, but I definitely
Wow, no,
yeah,
really?
the weekend of wow leaders, as they like
Yeah.
to call them at St. Mary's, were the people that, you know, sort of introduced the freshmen and incoming students to school, essentially, and you'd run a bunch of activities and whatnot. You were one of mine.
Wow, that's
Remember,
awesome.
I was like, this guy talks way too much.
He needs to shut up.
He said. Let's talk about St. Mary's a little bit.
Yeah.
How was your experience at St. Mary's? Obviously, that's where we met, so it was great. But other than that, you know, you were an RA as well.
Yeah.
Had a lot-
Go Gales. My time at St. Mary's was incredible. At the same time, I feel like there's two feelings that I get when I talk about college. One is this external great feeling of being involved in so many things in soccer and leadership and being a residential advisor and being an orientation leader and graduating as a student body president. And then there's this other side where it was hard and painful and a struggle due to the financial situation I was in and having to pay for college.
Yeah, I agree with you. I feel the same way. And definitely in terms of paying for college, it's a very real situation going on now today for me, especially, which can be very
For
frustrating.
all of us, a lot of us, yep.
It's if you are going through something similar, we feel you and it's frustrating. It's just got to keep going, you know, just chugging along. At St. Obviously, soccer was a big part of it. That's where
Soccer was a huge part of it, yeah.
We met Eric as well. Shout out to the third Flatiza.
Shout out.
Flatizas. I'll give you a quick overview of what the Flatizas are.
I will let you explain.
Yeah, let me share. The Flatizas. I love the story after makes me laugh every time. But originally, we went to an away soccer game to Chico. We had a game against them, and we went to Subway for lunch because we got there early. And Diego, the way I would describe him, is like a piece of cardboard, flat in the front and the back too.
Me.
I saw on the menu the flatbread pizza, which is called the Flatiza, so I started calling it Flatiza, calling Diego Flatiza, and it just kind of stuck. And then it became the group. It became Diego, Eric, and I, the three Flatizas, almost like the Three Musketeers. And it became so popular, and people kept hearing it so many times. And because Eric, Diego, and I are all Latino and speak Spanish, people started thinking that it was a multicultural club on campus.
Made up of three people.
Three people. So we would always say, we would have events for the Flatiza group.
That's generally how the story went. I think there's some edits, but yes. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that on the menu they sold a Flatiza, which was a flat pizza.
Yeah. And hence a beautiful friendship and group was born.
Yes, indeed.
The story I will tell all of my children one day.
Yes, there was more to that story on how some Flatizas became a quarter Flatizas.
Oh my God!
I don't know if we want to get into that.
Good. That's a story that Diego likes to tell everybody that we meet.
Yes.
For the first time.
Just so you know, just so you understand, Marcelino. Do you want me to tell it?
Go for it. You might as well.
All right, real quick. obviously Flatizas, right? So we're together. We're a great unit. We're a multicultural group on campus made out of 3 people with no constitutional rights in the Associated Students Amendment. But we obviously, there's intramural soccer. So we would be on the same teams, and we had our rival team.
We're back.
And we played we played outdoor, right? And then the next season there was the indoor league that was going to happen, and obviously we hadn't talked about it, but obviously we were going to create a team. But what happens when Eric and I reach out to Marcelino? Hey, let's make the team. Marcelino says, "Oh, I'm already part of another team." Which team, you ask? Well, the rival team on our outdoor league. We kind of try to forget about it, even though it broke our hearts. It made him half a Flatiza. We went into the league. We meet them in the final, and they beat us in the final, making Marcelino a quarter Flatiza for a couple of years.
Yeah, it's been a rough couple of years, but you know what? That shirt that we got at the end.
I knew he was going to say that.
And you know what? I actually think that I have the shirt. I brought the shirt here to North Carolina.
Great, so you can burn it while you're over there.
It's the only shirt that actually still fits me because, you know, post soccer, you start gaining a couple kilos because you play like this. Well, yeah, that
is our Flatiza story.
A very turbulent and rocky friendship and relationship. Yet here we still are. And another big thing besides soccer, besides the banter, and the big reason why we are such good friends is because of an organization called Here for Kids, an organization that works with at-risk youth in Peru, Dominican Republic, and Haiti. Is that it?
And Costa Rica.
And Costa Rica. And Diego and I have been a part of that for many years now, actually. At least 5. Yeah.
Yes.
5 years now. We've been a part of that, and leading service trips, being a part of service trips, and being part of that community. And, you know, that's been a very large part of our relationship as well. It's been super special. We have not been on a trip yet together, which we still need to do. But my claim to fame, I think Diego might have, now you might have gone on more trips than I have. I don't know. We'll have to count.
Yeah.
But I like to tell people that I am the reason that Diego is such a big part of Here for Kids, because Randy, the person who leads Here for Kids, reached out to me asking if I could do a trip. I was like, I can't do it. I'd just done 2 back-to-back and I did not have the money, but I have a great friend who I think would be an awesome fit. And then that's how Diego ended up going. And the rest is history. He's been an integral part of Here for Kids, I think.
Thank you. That's definitely true. I do owe that involvement, that initial involvement to Marcelino. And I cannot believe that after 5 years, we have yet to be on a trip together. We share stories. When we go, they even confuse us sometimes because we wear the same club soccer shirts and we look similar. So like, Marcelino, Diego.
Jorge.
But yes, and Jorge. Here for Kids has been a blessing, I think, in both of our lives. And it's really been, for me, a God calling, and him really showing us the way on how to serve the world. As the motto, the slogan of Here for Kids is teaching the eternal life of service. So it's an incredible opportunity for anyone, if anyone is interested, hereforkids.org, to get involved and to really see and open your eyes to what's happening in this world. Farther than your communities, than your state, than your country, and this planet, because everything we do has an impact on the world.
Yeah, totally. I think every time I go on those trips, first of all, it's sort of become, at the start, you know, it was, you know, very new and foreign to me. I hadn't really done service trips or anything like that. And after 5 years of going, usually to the same places, it's become my second family, I would say. And, you know, it's crazy to see, like, over 5 years, seeing kids that were, you know, 12 and 13 are now 18.
Seriously, yeah, that's crazy.
From, you know, teenagers to almost adults. It's insane. It's so crazy. And, you know, such a huge blessing in my life. And seeing how people who have so little can be so giving as well as so joyful. And it really puts a lot of things in perspective and really makes you think critically about, your decisions and your attitude.
Right. Right.
So I definitely recommend, if anybody gets a chance to do something like that, not just through Here for Kids, but through other programs, it's definitely a great opportunity to do something like that.
I agree.
And Diego's led a couple trips, which has been super cool because he's bilingual as well, so he's able to communicate well with everybody there. But you've also done other forms of either trips or leading as well. You want to talk about, your leadership groups also?
Yeah, when I was early on in high school, I got involved with ASB, the Associated Students Body, or the Student Council of high school. Through that, I was blessed with the opportunity to go to this conference called California Association of Student Councils, and it was basically a summer camp for leadership students. So it sounds very structured and strict and leadership oriented, but it was a lot of fun, and it really gave you a lot of connections to have throughout California with students that were in school for the right reasons and that really had that passion for leadership. I went as a delegate at Stanford University, came back as a counselor the next year. Then after that, I came back as a counselor again, I think, and then you would just work up the ranks. So I became basically a counselor of a counselor, and then eventually helping lead the conference. And this summer will be my third year being the assistant director for that same leadership conference to about 200 students that we have every year.
Wow.
And the organization is an organization that really fights for the rights and the voice of high school students all over California. And we also do a lot of work abroad. I've been sent to Beijing, China 3 times to direct a leadership conference there for high school and middle school students. So it's been an incredible opportunity. It's also opened my eyes a lot to a different side of what Here for Kids has opened my eyes to. But this strict environment of like leadership internationally, but also locally, and how determined these students are and how they want to create this impact in the world, which then transitions over to Here for Kids and how that can make an impact on the world. So it all ties in together. But these last couple of weeks, for example, have been just overwhelming with the amount of planning we have to do for that summer camp, because this summer it's going to be virtual. So it's none of that physical contact, none of that connection will be there. So it'll be different for sure, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's been, for the people that don't know, I'm a preschool teacher, and we've had to do from March to, June. Our school year's now done, but we've had to do everything over Zoom, virtually, and it's a lot. It's really difficult when, in things like that, where it's, the connections, the in-person interactions are so important. Doing that and trying to replicate that over the internet is pretty tough. And it takes a lot of planning. So, I'm not surprised that you've been so busy, but I'm sure that it's going to be great knowing you and the amount of put into it.
Yeah, I hope so. Thank you.
Yeah. Did you also, you talked about going to Beijing. Was that also the trip where you went to South Korea also? Or you went?
That was a different trip. That was actually through St. Mary's.
You almost started a war?
Yes. We don't like to talk about that. No, there was no war. I went to Beijing and South Korea, or China and South Korea, for a month in January 2016, and it was through St. Mary's College. And it was a Jantum course called Culture and Business in Asia, Beijing and Seoul. But we didn't just go to Beijing in China. We also went down to Hangzhou, which is a beautiful city on the southern part of China. I like to call it, even though China is humongous and I've seen just those 2 cities, but I like to call it the Lake Tahoe of China, because it had this beautiful lake called the West Lake. And they say that in the springtime, everything blooms beautifully. So it was really pretty. And then in Korea, we went to Seoul, and then we went to the demilitarized zone, so the DMZ zone. So I stepped over the border from South Korea into North Korea. So one of my fun facts is that I've been to North Korea for 3 minutes. And that was a very intense experience. It was very structured. You had you could not film. Basically, you couldn't film past this 180 degree panorama. If you turned around and filmed this way, I mean, I don't know. They would like take you into an interrogation room. You had to sign a waiver and say that you were not going to wear tight pants or leather pants, because if for some reason you had to run away or escape, you needed to be able to run. Like, that was in the waiver that you had to sign. It was crazy. So,
Yeah,
but it was an incredible experience. So.
Yeah, I heard you almost shook King Jong-un's hand also.
Yes. No, we hugged.
He's a big hugger.
No, that did not happen.
I always like to tell people that story too. Diego also started a war between North and South Korea. Another one.
Another one. Well, they're still at war. They're just at a ceasefire, right? So they haven't shot in a lot of years.
I almost shot you. Diego, along with all the other stuff that you do, you are also a speaker, and you talked a little bit about that. A little TMI, as the acronym that Diego likes to use for his speaking, touch, move, and talk. I want to go into that too, which I think is one of my favorite things that you do.
Thank you. When I was a senior in high school, I had this presentation, which, funny enough, was on my birthday, December 13th. And it was a presentation, and it was called, I think, The Purpose of Life, in Miss Thomas's English 4 class. And it was a presentation to the class on what you thought, I think, was the purpose of your life. Mm-hmm. And, I prepared well for it. It actually matched with, I think, like a crazy something, a spirit day for like dressing up. And I would always dress up. I mean, I was a student body president, so I had to give a good example of dressing up. So I remember it was the Christmas theme, so I wore a Rudolph tie. Cool. Context. And I did a great job. I loved it. I loved the presentation. I loved preparing for it and speaking to my audience, and I did a great job. And the teacher then said, wow, it seems like you have a gift with speaking to an audience. So I graduated from high school, was going off to college, but that summer I was invited to come back to the freshman orientation for the incoming freshmen for the next year and kind of talk about my experience. So be the keynote speaker for the freshman orientation. Mm-hmm. I loved it. I did it. I loved it. And thinking back to the experiences that I had in high school of going to these leadership conferences, and a week after going to the conference, I would remember the theme. A month later, I would remember, the people. But I would never forget the speakers and how they made me feel. And I wanted to make the students and my audience feel that same way and feel empowered and to feel loved. So through college, I developed my speaking business of inspirational speaking called Diego Rios Inspiration. And since then, I've spoke to a lot of schools all through California and in small instances all around the world, in Peru, in the Dominican Republic, in Beijing, in Colombia, spreading my message of perseverance. When I came to this country, it was very tough kind of like to fit in, and I tried to be the president and the captain, and there was many times where I failed and I would fall, but then I would get back up, and then I would fall and I would get back up, and then I was pushed down, but then I would get back up. And the perseverance eventually led me to a lot of the accomplishments that I have in my history. So that's where it all started, and it developed, and it's been developing. I think once you enter the real world after graduation, things kind of get put into a back burner because you have to be an adult, right? Mm-hmm. But it fuels me, and it really makes me happy to speak to an audience and to then have them come back to you and say that made an impact on them. And I like to say that sometimes you might only reach one student because you feel like, wow, I don't know if there was enough engagement, right? But then one student, and I remember this specifically for a talk at a freshman orientation, one student came up to me after I had felt like, I don't know if it didn't go too well. Like they didn't seem to engage. And he said, everything you said resonated with me. I felt very inspired by your talk. Thank you so much. And that for me, I was like, I did my job. Like that's enough. If one of the students felt touched, moved, and inspired by my talk, then that's enough.
Yeah, TMI. Touch, move, inspire.
TMI. That's where TMI comes from. Touch, move, inspire.
Yeah,
We started early on.
Too much information. That's not it. It's touch. Move,
that's definitely not it. That's wrong. But yeah, I think God has given me that gift and helped me develop into what it is now. But I think He also wants me to use that gift of speaking and loving, impacting kids, and also sports ministry in a way to make more of an impact, not just in small communities, but in the world.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said. If it's, if it impacts at least one person, then it's totally worth it.
Yeah. And I bet you do that. Do you see that with your class?
Yeah. Oh, totally. And it's with working at a school, you see it over a long term, and you see a lot of growth with your students, and it's super special to see. I almost see them almost as my kids, my 19 children. It's just really special to see the growth and the impact that you can have on somebody. And that's the reason why I'm doing these Chase Stories chats as well, in hopes that it might be able to impact somebody. They might hear something on one of these talks where they feel, wow, like that really hit me. It makes me want to do, chase my dreams, or it makes me want to change something in myself to better myself, or it makes me want to make that decision, take that space to do what I want to do. And if it one person feels that way, then it's totally worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You talk.
What you were saying though, real quick, about the long-term effect and seeing that, yes, and that's something that I crave sometimes. Like coming in for a day and motivating, that's great, but like I wish I could see the long-term effect, right? Which you do, and I think that's great. And you're talking about them being your kids. Is it 11 of them by any chance? 11 kids?
Yeah, for to field the soccer team.
Exactly.
Training my preschoolers to eventually form a team.
Well, for everyone listening, the Flatizas have a pact that between the three of us, we're going to have 11 kids so that we can create a soccer team. We just don't know which two are going to have the more kids than the rest, right?
Eric's going to have 10. Diego's going to have 1. End up single and alone.
Eric needs to get started then. I was thinking more of a 4-4-3 ratio, but okay.
Formation in soccer. Yeah, all of Diego's kids will be forwards, Eric's will be midfielders, and mine will be defenders. We'll keep that. You talked a little bit about, getting, there are many instances where you got pushed down or you fell down and you had those difficult moments. Could you talk a little bit about how you got through those instances? Obviously perseverance, but sometimes perseverance is just kind of really abstract, where they're like specific things, habits that you built, things that you read, people that you talked to that really helped you get out and push on from those situations.
Yeah. When you ask that, I think about my specific experience with the financial part of college. Mm-hmm. So to give a little bit of context, I spoke about my residency, right? Status. When I got accepted into college, I was still a resident. Sorry, I was not yet a resident. We were applying to be residents, so we were still on a visa. What did that mean for my status for college? That meant that I was an international student at St. Mary's College. Mm. So I lived an hour away, and I grew up an hour away since I was 8. And then St. Mary's considered me an international student. Therefore, I had to pay health insurance, extra health insurance. I had to pay an international fee to be there. So all that to say that it was very tough. And with that visa, I didn't have a social security number. Therefore, I could not apply for financial aid. So that was just a huge struggle. But I wanted the opportunity, and my parents wanted me the opportunity to go to the school, and they basically gave everything they had in terms of energy and savings for me to get through my first year. As soon as I stepped foot on that campus, I made an effort, like you said, to persevere, but also to make those connections which I knew were going to help me in the long run get through this experience. And that's in the end what happened. I think that this experience is all about angels that have been gone through my journey, helping me get through this. And some of them rest in peace, have passed away. But they really were the ones to support me and be advocates for me to be able to get through school in terms of financial aid and in terms of just like being involved and knowing the ropes, because this was all a new experience, not just for me, but for my family.
Yeah.
So connections, I would really rely on those people that would be advocates and fight for me because they believed in me.
Yeah. Would you, looking back at your experience at St. Mary's, and now you trying to build a career, and following your passions, what piece of advice would you give to somebody who's trying to do something, who could be on a similar life journey, um, or have be feeling a certain type of way, something similar to you? Yeah,
Mhm.
advice for them. Any words of wisdom?
Yes, you are not the only one going through what
Yeah.
you're going through, and I think that makes you realize, like, okay, I'm not the only one on this planet having to struggle through college. I'm not the only one having to struggle with identity issues, right? Because obviously it feels like it, because you talk to yourself all the time,
Yeah.
right? And it feels like you're just the only person in this situation, and everyone else, especially due to social media, seems like this perfect person.
Totally.
No, wrong, right? That's not the case. Um, so I think it's a situation where we need to realize there's so many other people that are going through the same struggle that I am. Once we recognize that, then we can say, okay, then let's try to push through. Let's try to find resources. Let's try to find allies. Let's try to see who can help coach me through this experience.
Yeah.
So once you recognize it, I think finding people, finding connections, finding advocates, finding coaches, finding angels that are in your path.
Totally. And yeah, the piece about social media, I think, is becoming more and more prominent, in terms of its mental effects on people, and at times it can be a wonderful um, way to create connections and communicate, and to be able to see all these different opportunities. It's a great business opportunity as well.
Mm-hmm.
You also see a lot of isolation, people comparing themselves to all these things that they see online, and so it's definitely like I would say, a double-edged sword. uh,
Totally.
and I had a great talk with a friend earlier, who we were talking about it because she also is just trying to build a business through Instagram, and through photography as well. And she just brought up the fact that if certain things through social media are affecting you in that way, you know it's your choice. You have the choice to either unfollow these things that are making you feel a certain way, to just log off, to be off of
Yep.
it. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth it if it's making you feel this way and it's making you feel isolated or
Right.
other feelings.
No, I agree. I think social media is a great tool if used right. Right. And that's a huge emphasis, if used right. Because if we're just scrolling aimlessly and we find ourselves scrolling for hours and hours, we are gaining zero from that, right? On the other side, we're giving it so much of our time, and it's not worth it. Um, the fact that the point you said about following important people or following things that will motivate you, help you, I think that's very, very valid.
Yeah.
These companies know that it's bad, but they're not going to take it away, right? Because they're making so much money. But they are realizing, and they're coming to the point where, like, okay, we need to put like digital well-being things into their phones, into their applications, right? Which, if you scroll deep enough into the settings, you'll see, oh, okay, my application will tell me if I've been on Instagram for an hour a day and I need to stop, or things like that, right? There's just, every phone has that now. So they're recognizing it, and they're giving us the tools to help us, but they're not necessarily taking it away, because there's a lot of positive impact that can come through that. And the biggest one, I think, is not comparing ourselves and following constructive, positive things rather than things that are not. We like you said, we have the decision to be like, this is not making me feel good. I'm gonna click on follow. Done. Like it's it's your decision.
Yeah, I really love Instagram for, specifically Instagram, talking about social media, for the connection piece. and the ability to be able to reach out to creators. Is that my computer? Can you hear that?
Yeah, I believe so.
I do not know where that's coming from. Anyways, we're just gonna ignore it and hopefully.
Yeah, no problem.
But the connection piece, and that's something that you are very good at, I would say. I'm always very impressed by how many people you know, whether it's at school, um, on the streets, from a bar. Literally, whenever we go out, this is really pissing me off. But
That's right. It'll stop.
I don't know where it's from. But it's sorry. I need to find out where it is. I have no idea. Oh, here it is. Found it.
Nice. What was?
There we go. It was a Facebook call.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not,
You can call through anything now.
seriously, talking about social media, Facebook as well. All right.
Exactly. They heard you. They heard you. That's why they were calling you.
Talking about the connections through social media, and going back to you as a person. Always super impressed by how many people you know and how easily you are able to create connections. What are some pointers or tips you could give to people to be able to create those connections? Because I know some people, it can be really difficult, or especially meeting new people or being able to create a genuine connection, because that's not something that's easy to do. And I feel like honestly, it's partially a learned skill that needs to be practiced.
Yeah.
Do you have any pointers, or you want to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think thinking about it, as soon as you said it, like what I thought it was, the earlier you break the ice, the better. Because if you spend a lot of time kind of breaking the ice, I think, at least for me, I don't know, it could vary, right? But the earlier you break the ice, then you can then be comfortable with each other, get to the same level. And I think what's very important is to get on the same page, or understand each other halfway, right? So basically breaking that ice, knowing where that person is coming from, knowing where you're coming from, and then from then finding common interests. I do believe it's a bit harder to make that connection and keep that connection with people that necessarily don't have the same interests as you, for obvious reasons. But I mean, obviously it can still happen, but it's a little tougher. But I think just breaking that ice as soon as possible. Now, how do you break that ice, you ask? I would say just to be yourself, and like to take down that wall that a lot of times we walk around with, and just like be like, this is who I am, accept me for who I am, and let's be friends.
I thought you were going to say icebreakers, since you always make us do icebreakers whenever we're in a big friend group.
Well, that's exactly, because I'm trying to break the ice as fast as possible. Once people are like, okay, like I've heard his voice, I know his favorite color is blue, my favorite color is blue, then boom, there's a talking point, like a networking session. If you go to a networking session and they just go like, okay, go network, it's like, who do I go up to, who do I talk to? But if before the networking session starts, everyone says 30 seconds about themselves, and you can connect with that person, like, oh, I like that too, oh, I've lived in that country, oh, I have done what this person has done, then there's already a connection point. Without those connection points, it's tough.
Yeah, totally. I do
appreciate my my icebreak games.
No, they work great, and I am now friends with friends that you've introduced me to, which has been awesome. All because of those icebreaker games. Nowhere.
And you can reach out to me on my website for ideas on icebreaker games.
Yeah, exactly. He runs the whole company. It's called Icebreakers, not actually.
No.
That's the gum or whatever it is, the breath mint.
Oh, right.
I love that you said, in order to break the ice as well, it's showing off your genuine, true self. And then I think it's so huge, and people can pick up on, excuse my language, on fake shit. Like they can tell if you're just bullshitting. And it's super important, I feel, in order to create genuine, lasting connections, you need to be your genuine self, because then first of all, people aren't going to be thinking that you're one way when you're actually something different. It's super difficult
Right.
a facade of, I am acting a certain way, and so whenever you're essentially putting on a performance all the time, which
Yeah.
is mentally exhausting in the long run.
Yeah.
And also, you just want to be around people who like you and want to be around you for who you are.
Yeah.
And I think by being your genuine self and showing that off, and showing that to the world, you're going to be able to create those connections too, and create those meaningful connections that you want. Because honestly, if it's networking, then you're trying for work. That's something different. But just in terms of just like creating a friend group or meeting new people, I feel like that's really important. At least in my case, and just trying to grow as a person too. Just
Yeah.
being more genuine, being more authentic, is super important.
I agree. I can think of a situation specifically where I was in a group, in a new group, and this other person was being, like you're saying, putting on a show and being very fake. But he had a very strong personality, so he kind of took over the group dynamic, and that made us, and myself included, kind of fall into that same role and kind of start acting and try to get that attention in the negative way. And it was not. I don't remember that being an enjoyable time.
Yeah. So don't do it, people. Be yourself. People will love you for it. You will find people. I know sometimes I feel like it can be tough. You feel like you kind of have to, especially like I talked about high school for a sec, but like especially in high school, you're just trying to fit in. You're trying to create connections, and there's you're trying to figure out where you kind of are in the high school totem pole in a sense, because they kind of have that, there's like the social status, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I've found in the long run, the people that are super popular in high school, it's not like sometimes, obviously I'm not going to say all of them, but it's just like they're not that cool. They're just like everybody else at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So yeah, just remember that if you are going through something like that, I think it's super important to just continue to work on yourself and do what you really love, and follow your passions and let your genuine self show.
Definitely. The summer leadership conference I help run, at the end of it, it feels like it's just the best place on earth. And we always talk about how if that was a high school, that would be the best high school ever, because everyone gets along, everyone's being themselves, everyone's there for a purpose, everyone has a goal. So, and then they go back into their communities, and then they fall back into that acting or trying to fit in. Right?
Yeah.
Whereas at this conference, they are told to just be yourselves, to make those connections, and it ends up being an incredible time. So
Yeah.
imagine that being a high school, and imagine everyone in the world having that perspective, personality, attitude.
That'd be amazing. That's what we're working on. You need to go speak some more.
Slowly. Yep.
Yeah, slowly but surely.
But surely.
You, like you said, you have a lot of different projects that you've got going on, and you keep yourself busy. With all these projects, do you see yourself going down a certain route, maybe an ideal career? Or here, let me change that. What would be your ideal career or your dream job? What would you like to do for the rest of your life?
I don't know. Like, I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, right? We have these plans, but in the end, we don't really know what's going to happen, right? I like to think that God knows exactly what's going to happen, and then we kind of just fit into this plan. But it's important to have that goal, right?
Yeah.
To have that vision, but you know that it's going to weave in and out of that. So the quick question is, I have no idea. But I would like to see myself making an impact on the world, using my biculturalism, having a happy, healthy, and loving family, and being surrounded by good friends like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what I see myself in.
Okay. I like that. That's a great answer. Do you have any small goals for the next couple of years in terms of what you want to do?
Yeah, I would like to start a family. It is something I'm excited about. I've thought about it, obviously.
10 out of 11
10.
for the team.
And then Eric has 1.
Yeah.
But we need subs, so you need a lot more.
Oh, that's true. Eric can have
subs.
4.
And then if we want to make a whole team, then we need 18. But once we're at 18, then we might as well have 22 for practice games. And then once we have 22, might as well have 2 full squads.
We're gonna have
32.
reserves, La Masia.
Exactly. We'll start our own. And then we can divide up coaching roles.
Oh yeah, of course.
I would like to start a family. Maybe not 11 kids. I don't think Agu would be too happy with that. But yes, a family, and my girlfriend and I, who I see as a life partner and as my future wife, we do like exploring the world and having new experiences. So short-term goals are kind of exploring the world with her, and then through that process, starting a family, and then eventually that long-term goal of making that impact, and through this whole process, making that impact on the world.
Yeah. One of my short-term goals is to finally figure out how to cook some good stuff.
You let me know to try them. I will tell you if they're good or not.
Oh my gosh. If you don't know what arepas are, they kind of look like tortillas. Tortillas.
Look like.
They look like them. They don't taste like them. I would like to, honestly, arepas are on another tier. Especially arepas de choclo, which are made out of corn.
Yes, and you eat them, you chew them, and when you're pulling it out.
Oh, with the cheese.
Yeah.
It's on another level. If you've never had Colombian food, I definitely recommend it. Go check out Diego's store as well for that if you need that.
Definitely.
Yeah, man. I was gonna ask you something. Let me see. Oh yeah.
Think.
What keeps you motivated?
Oof. That's tough, especially at times like these.
Going on.
Yeah. I think the people keep me motivated. Making others happy and inspiring others keeps me motivated. Because it's tough to fall into that routine or to not necessarily pursue your dreams and goals as much. And I definitely have been falling into that.
Yeah, same.
So the people like yourself that, contact me or making me talk about it, therefore it's making me excited to spend more time on me. People that reach out to you, like, how are things going? How is your speaking going? So people that, not just people, but people that care about you and care about your success.
Yeah. And you were talking about, doing stuff that you love, and connecting with the people that, those connections help out a lot. I've found that, especially more recently, doing things that you do not love is incredibly draining. It takes a heavy mental and physical toll at times on a person. And I've been finding that the more I pursue my passions and do what I love, I feel more motivated because the work doesn't seem as difficult. And, things just kind of start clicking.
Yeah.
Things start falling into place when you start really, when you've done the introspection and figured out what you really want to do and what really motivates you and pushes you as a person, you start finding that, things just start going. And I'm glad that, it's cool that people is your passion and speaking is your passion and those connections are your passion. And I hope to see, I'm excited to see what the next couple of years have for you because you have, as you say, lots of projects that could, I feel, go in a lot of different ways, and they can also connect too.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that somehow you're going to find a way to have all of them connect and then create something that's just like ultra mega awesome.
That would be incredible.
Yeah, that'd be the ideal. There, I found out what you're gonna do long term. Your long term goal
is to combine them, all of them.
Yeah, Motivational Colombian food chef.
Cooking for kids while I play soccer.
There, we got it. The perfect job for Diego Rios. Diego Rios.
That's great. I need to look into more cooking though.
Add it to your LinkedIn, but I think that'll be great. We've been talking for a bit, so I'm going to have one more question for you.
Okay.
Before we end off, unless you want to share any more funny stories after this, we will have time for funny stories. What do you want people, what do you want people to get out of this chat? You personally, what do you feel that, looking at your story and what you've gone through, what do you hope people can get out of it? Let's go with that.
Yeah. That's tough. There's
that's a question off the top of the dome for you.
Top of the dome. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stages in my life where you could, I think, pick out different lessons. But I think a consistent one has been to be positive. And I like to say that with a positive attitude comes positive results. And with a negative attitude comes negative results. And it's just really as simple as that. If you wake up in the morning and you say, I'm not going to have a good day, I'm tired, I don't want to go to this, then you're going to have a crappy day and you're not going to enjoy it. But if you have a positive attitude and you enjoy it and you are looking forward to doing the things you want to do that day, then it's going to be a positive experience.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's been consistent through my life, being positive. And not just for myself, but for those people around me. I find myself trying to be that positive person for those people around me, which I enjoy, to kind of get them out of that funk. So positivity will get you far.
Yeah, totally.
And combined with the right mindset and right attitude, you can really push through a lot of barriers and open new doors.
I've always, that saying, fake it till you make it, is a thing that can go in many different ways, but positive attitude, I don't know where I saw it. Don't quote me, I don't know where I got it. But someone was saying, talking about the positive attitude, just like, in a sense, just like, you may not be having a good day, but just try and have that positive attitude and, focus on positives. And eventually, at least for myself, I've been able to get out of that funk because I'm focusing on the positives. And what? The more you focus on positives, like you said, the more positive you're going to be, and hopefully more results are going to happen. Even when they don't happen, you're still going to have that mindset, which will help you get out of those situations that are really tough and that are creating this negative mindset in you, or creating some sort of negative emotions or whatever. So Diego, thank you. Unless you've got a fun story to share.
No, I wanted to thank you for your time, but I would also like to give this a bit of an opportunity for you to tell me and everyone listening what is motivating you right now. What is motivating you to have these talks? Like, what's pushing you?
Yeah, I guess I can go. I'll try and make it short. Especially this year with COVID and everything happening, there's been a couple situations where it's just really sort of forced me to think about what I want to do long term. And more recently, I've been thinking a lot more short term. I've been really focused on relationships, romantic and platonic relationships. I've been focused on working and work, which I do really enjoy. I do love being a teacher, but looking and reflecting on it, I don't see as my passion. Focusing on my financial situation, dealing with paying off student loans. Been very focused on that, and with COVID, we've been forced to essentially stop. And a lot of people have had to, been put in a place where they have to think a lot.
Right. Yeah.
and I've had a lot of time to think, I feel. And I usually am in my head a lot already. That's one of the things that, I have difficulty with at times, with whether it's an anxiety or just overthinking things. I'm very much in my head. But because I've been so distracted, I hadn't really thought about, the more positive things or what I really want to do with my life. And I've been, scared because of, obviously money, or, this could just end up not going anywhere. And what's really been pushing me is, the realization that I'm very tired. Like I said, if you're not doing something that you love and you're not chasing your passions, you end up getting mentally drained. And I realized I had stopped growing as a person. Which I think it's like, you need to constantly be evolving to become the best version of yourself. And you do that by putting yourself in, situations that may be difficult for you, talking to new people, starting a new business, whatever it is. You need to continuously push yourself to grow. And I realized that for a while I'd gotten very comfortable. And so because I'm, forced to think now, what do I want to do with my life? I kind of came to realization, what are some of the things that really, really make me happy and have been consistent through my life over the last couple of years? And it's been photography. It's been creating that connection through photography and just talking to people in general. And so this chase stories, chats, and this journey that I'm on has come through a lot of reflection. And, my hope, especially through these, is that people can listen and hopefully get, whatever it is, whether, feel like they got a nice piece of advice, or, they created some self-realizations due to, you explaining that, oh yeah, like your positive mindset, whatever. My hope is that these things and these chats and talking to many different people from many different styles of life will impact somebody in order to also follow their passions and, not feel stuck, kind of like how I've been feeling. And I still do feel the same way, and I'm sure it's going to be a long life journey as well, that I have to continuously be working on myself. But I feel, after starting these up, I've felt, like I'm going on the right path and things are going. And it's been super fun for me, even if nothing happens from this in terms of, whether it's creating some sort of business or whatever. I'm just enjoying these, and it doesn't feel like a burden on me. It's tiring, but I'm enjoying it, and I think that's the important part. So yeah, I'm hoping that people enjoy this too. I hope you all are enjoying listening and watching these, and that even if you don't get anything out of it, that you're smiling or having a laugh at Diego's bad jokes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Or my bad jokes. So yeah, I mean, we'll see where this goes. My hope is,
Cool.
I'm just kind of following my passions, which is photography right now, and I'm working along with these chats with other people. I'm hoping to have people follow along in my photography journey, as well as I try to create a business out of that and create a living out of that, hopefully, eventually one day.
Yeah, your photography is great.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I've had personal experience with it.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I feel like I like this because I feel like everybody's sort of connected, and we're all kind of going through this life journey. And I feel like through this medium, through these videos, and talking as well, not just through photography, that I'm able to show another part of myself as well, my authentic self, and be vulnerable too, which I'm learning to be a lot more also. So I think that's at the end of the day, this is a growing step for me, because I've also been very nervous about doing this, although they've been very fun, and I'm realizing that this is great. It was a push. I had to push myself to do this and really get it done. Get it started. So I mean, I feel like we're taking the right steps over here. I think So we'll see.
Cool.
Diego, my throat is dry from talking to me.
And you said I was the one that talks a lot.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I like to put the blame on Diego a lot. It's usually me, if anything. If you all are spike ball players, by the way, please reach out to Diego.
Definitely, especially during this pandemic. I have not had my spike ball fix. I look forward to that happening soon. Spike ball, mountain biking, tennis, or soccer, please. Let's play.
Yeah, and also, Diego, could you share some of your socials or ways that people could get in contact with you in case they had any more questions about your speaking projects or wanted to talk to you in general?
Yeah, thank you, Mars. Well, if you want that food, you can go to latinfoodsmarket.com. If you want to stay in touch with me, if you want to stay in touch with me through my website, diegojriosinspiration.com, and through social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at DJRI Inspiration. Sorry, DJRinspiration.com.
Yep. Yes. And also,
or sorry, at DJR Inspiration.
At DJR.
Just ads.com. Hashtag.
It's confusing. Also, if you all didn't know, we are also the Colombian Embassy soccer champ. Soccer champs. Just wanted to throw that plugged in there as well.
Thank you so much. Maybe Mark can pull up a picture of us holding our beautiful trophy.
Yeah.
That broke during one of the moves that I had recently.
Oh.
But yes, for 3 years. Yes, it
How
did.
dare you?
Sorry to break it to you.
Eric's child.
For 2 years in a row, we won the Bay Area Colombian Consulate soccer tournament. Yep. And we were called the Flatizas.
Flatizas. Well, before that, we were the college boys.
Before that, we were the college boys when we were in college, yes.
Yes. I did find the picture that I can...
wow, that was quick. Okay.
Well, shout out to Google Photos. Diego forced all of us to download Google Photos.
Yes, indeed. Google Photos. I am a big advocate. There it is, our baby.
You can't really see it very well, but...
Oh, you can see it. I can see it.
I can't see it on my screen.
I remember vividly.
There
it is.
The third Flatiza, and there is I with the trophy. That was so yeah. You all come at and yeah.
There it is. That's a picture.
There
First place. It was crazy. So semifinal, we got to PKs, and we went through all 5 PKs to decide it. And then final, we were losing 2-0. I scored 1, and then Eric scored 1 to tie it 2-2. We were playing. One of our players was playing on a broken ACL.
Yep.
And a ripped, torn. And we got to PKs once again. We went not just through the 5 PKs, we went through 6 and then the 7th because Marissa took a PK. Yep. And
Yafti,
thank you. Yafti, our goalkeeper, took a PK and he won it for us. He was the youngest one. It was the best.
Yeah, we like to reminisce on the golden days before I tore my Achilles and gained 50 pounds.
That was prior.
Diego, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I would love to do maybe in a couple months, see where you're at. See how
yes, I would enjoy that.
Awesome. And hopefully I'll be a full Flatiza by then. I'll regain my membership.
You're on your way.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you, Mars. God bless.
Bye. Thank you for tuning into Chase Stories Chats. If you enjoyed and want to find more, follow along at Chase Stories on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and let me know what you thought of the chat. And if you'd like to be involved, please reach out through chasestories.com.